Let me just open my board too, because we're going to need it. Okay, so we've got these questions here. All right. Okay, just start up. Okay, so question A here says list and explain the fundamental questions that have to be addressed in the process of resource allocation by society. In your explanation, use a relevant practical example. Okay, so here we're going back to the roots, right? What is economics, colleagues? What's the definition of economics? Does anyone remember the definition I gave last time? Wow, okay. Economics is making decisions with limited resources. Okay, making decisions with limited resources. So in microeconomics, we focus on who's making those decisions. There's businesses, there's government, there's us, the consumers. Okay, so with this question here, as you can see, it's about resource allocation. Okay, so there are three fundamental questions that are attached to this resource allocation. The first question is what to produce. Okay, this is all about what goods or services you need to make to produce and the amount. Okay, colleagues, this is the first important question. Okay, what to produce? Okay, and how much of it should you produce? Okay, practical example, you are a farmer, you've got land. Okay, land is a limited resource. You don't have all the land in the world, right? You've also got workers on your farm. Okay, also your labor force is limited because you can't employ everybody to be working at your farm. Okay, you also have machinery. Okay, capital. Okay, that will also be limited because you won't have all the tractors, all the combine harvesters. You won't have all that, all of those resources. Okay, so you've got limited resources: land, labor, and capital. So now the first question you ask, okay, what do I need to produce and how much do I need to produce? Okay, so the practical example with the farmer, you can either produce maize, you can produce millet, you can produce sorghum, you can produce what's this, beans. Okay, apart from a farmer, it can also be a business. Okay, you can be offering certain services. Okay, you can also be producing certain goods, drinks, food, electronic goods. So that's the first important question for resource allocation. Any questions? What to produce and how Yeah, those are only two. There's a third one for whom to produce. They'll mark you, but you have to put explanations with them. As you've seen with this question here, you explain a bit on the question. After you say what to produce, you explain. We're talking about the goods and services that need to be produced and the amount. Okay. Then you can now give the practical example. Okay, a farmer can either decide to produce um, these goods, a business can either decide to produce this certain type of goods or these services. Okay. But as you are answering this question, remember this key point. You've got limited resources, and those limited resources are land, labor, and capital. Okay. There's a fourth one, entrepreneurship. How it's just basically how you manage these other three resources. But these are the factors of production, basic. Okay. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay. So as you're answering these questions, also talk about these and say that these factors of production are limited. So it's going to influence your decision on what to produce. First, what to produce, how to produce, and then for whom to produce. Okay. So, madam, don't just put the questions, explain and give some context to it. Is that okay, madam? So, the second question is how to produce. Okay. What methods of production will you use? Okay. You can either if you can either use labor, solely use labor, you only use labor to produce your goods. That's same example as the farm. You don't have a tractor, you don't have a combine harvester. So if you say, how will I produce? Okay, I'll use my farm laborers. Okay. If you have the ability to have tractors and the machinery on the farm, then you can use that capital to produce. Okay. So basically, it's between labor and capital. Okay. Can you get enough capital to produce? If you can't, then you rely solely on labor. Or you can use a mix of the two. But basically, how to produce is on focusing on what methods of production that you're going to use. Any questions on that one? Then the third and final question, for whom to produce. Basically, who are you making these goods and services for? Who are you making these goods and services for? And who will receive them? Okay. For whom to produce. So, as a farmer, you can either your produce, you can sell it to the Food Reserve Agency here in Zambia, you can sell it to the retail shops. Okay. Basically, you're talking about who are going to be your customers and who you're going to be, who's going to be buying your goods, basically. Okay. If you're a business that's producing electronic goods, obviously you're going to have your target customer base. Okay, if it's this is for the kids, you produce electronics for the kids. It's for elders or adults, you produce that. If you'll be producing toys, basically you'll be producing mostly for your kids. Okay, if you're producing food, you've got a very wide customer base because you're producing for a lot of anyone can buy your goods. Okay, so that's the third and final question. For whom to produce? Who are you making the goods for? Or basically, who will receive those goods? Any questions? So as I said, I'll make notes for you so that you see how you answer these type of questions, so that you get the maximum points in your exam. Table 1 shows different output of maize and beans produced by a hypothetical society. Okay, so we've got information about output, maize, and beans. Okay, so part B says draw the production possibility frontier from the information given, with production of maize, on the horizontal axis and beans on the vertical axis. Okay, colleagues, I remember in our introductory class, we looked at what a PPF curve is, a production possibility frontier curve. Does anyone remember what a production possibility frontier curve is? Wonderful, song. You have said it so wonderfully. Colleagues, have you heard that? I hope everyone has heard that. Okay, combination of goods and services that you can produce with your limited resources. And I said this curve, this PPF curve, it shows four important microeconomics concepts. Does anybody remember those four concepts it illustrates? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, efficiency. Okay. Getting the best results with minimal waste of resources. Okay. It's just all about utilizing your resources where you're not wasting them. Okay. Then scarcity. What is scarcity, colleagues? Colleagues, sure, sure. Scarcity. Scarcity means there is not enough of something, basically. Okay, things can run out. Okay, especially when your resources. Your resources are scarce. The land, labor, and capital, those resources are scarce. They can run out. Okay. They are not unlimited in supply where they never finish or whatever. No. So you've got efficiency, scarcity, you've got opportunity costs. What is an opportunity cost? Anybody? An opportunity cost simply is what you give up whenever you make a choice. Okay. Basically, the value of the thing that you've given up whenever you make a choice or whenever you make a decision. Okay. For example, let's say there's a person X, he can either start a job today, gets a salary of 1,000 per month, or he can go to university for 5 years, gets a degree, and then gets a better job. So, person X has got two choices: go for work or go to university. So, if the person X chooses to go to university, the opportunity cost is going to be that salary he was going to be receiving. Okay? The salary that you'll be receiving when you if you started work. Okay, if person X decides to go to school, the opportunity cost of the salary you'd have been getting if you started work. But if person X decides to work, then the opportunity cost is going to be the knowledge you would have gained from school, and obviously that degree which you would have earned, and the better job that you would have got. Okay. So opportunity cost can be in terms of opportunity, it can be in terms of money, all right? But it's what you give up whenever you make a choice. Okay. Any questions on that? Trade-offs. Okay. A trade-off is when you exchange one thing for another. Okay. So with the PPF curve, in this case here, the trade-off is between maize and beans. Okay. And every time there is a trade off, an opportunity cost is going to be attached. So think of the opportunity cost as the cost of the trade off, basically. So the first part of the question says draw this PPF curve. Okay, so drawing a PPF curve can be quite tricky. Okay, it can be quite tricky. First thing you need to look at is the rate of change for both goods. Okay, why am I saying this? Because that will determine if your opportunity cost is a straight line where the opportunity cost per unit is constant. Okay. Or if it's a bowed shape like this, okay, where there's an increasing opportunity cost. Okay. So we can see maize. the change is constant: 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. But beans, you can see 30, then 28, then 25, then 21. Okay, so the change is not constant. If both of them were constant, then it's this type of ppf curve that you draw. But if one is not constant, then you know that your opportunity cost curve is going to look like this, the bow shape. Okay, colleagues. So first thing, look at the rate of change for each of the goods. If both are constant, straight line E. If one is constant and the other one's not constant, bow shaped. Or if both are not constant, bow shaped. So here we're dealing with a bow shaped curve, okay, where the opportunity cost keeps increasing basically. The more we want to produce more of one good, we have to give up more of the other. Okay, so one technique I like to use, okay, because usually if you try to plot it like this, you get a very funny looking curve. Okay, so at least make a lot of space like I've done here. On your paper, you make a lot of space. Well, they told us on our, let's see, maize is on the horizontal axis. So we put maize here. Then beans is on the vertical axis. So we put beans on the y-axis. Okay. So you come to your point A. Okay, as you can see, point A, you're producing zero maize. So it means maize on this x-axis, zero is here. So you're not producing any maize. Okay. But you're producing 30 units of beans. So you know that, okay, on my beans axis here, it's going to be 30. You look at the first point. Then you also come to the last point here, where you're producing 25 units of maize and 0 units of beans. So if you're producing 0 units of beans, then on the horizontal axis, your point is here. Then you're producing 25 units of maize, 25. Now, once you connect the 2 points, then now you start plotting in. Okay. So first thing that you do, first check the beginning point and the end point so you know how to connect. Okay. Because usually if you just plot them like you just start plotting anyhow, you your graph is going to look very, very funny. So, yes. Okay, any questions before I start plotting now? Point B, C, D, E until reach F. Yeah, I would advise use a graph paper. Use a graph paper. Now, if you don't have a graph paper, then you do it like this. Okay. Okay, point. So at point B, we're producing 5 maize and 28 beans. Okay, 5 maize, 28 beans. Okay, so let's say here, okay, we put here 28. Always use a pencil because they are going to, it's not that when you draw it like this, it will come out perfect. You'll find you might need to shift some points so that it looks neat. Because you want to at least produce something that's neat. Okay, you don't want a funny shape. So 28 units of maize. Just take it here. Five units of beans. I mean maize. 28 units of beans. 5 units of maize. So you label. So we label points. So here's point A and point B. Point C. Okay. 25 units of beans. So 25. And you can put it somewhere here. 25 units of beans to make 10 units of maize. That is point C. Okay. So one tip that I would advise, always start your reference with the y-axis. Okay. When the question tells you, okay, this will be on the y-axis, when you come to this table, first look at the y-axis. Okay. Then you go to the x-axis. That way, life will be made easy. Okay. The next point is point D, 21 units of beans, 15 units of maize. So 21 units of beans. Point D. Point E, 15 beans, 20 maize. So let's say 15 here. That is point E. Then point F, 0 beans, 25 units of maize. Okay. So there we've plotted our ppf graph. Any questions? So let's, mhm. Yes. No, I won't say it's always the case. I'm saying when you're drawing this PPF curve, if you want it to come at least to, have you seen like this is a neat one like mine, almost neat like this. You start by connecting the first and the last ones. Once you connect them, then from there you can start putting in the other points. So to say it's always the case, no, madam, it's not a rule that when drawing this always start first and last. No. Other times you can try if you want by yourself, maybe just make this axis, then you just start plotting the points, then you connect at the end. But that method where you plot, then you connect, you find you you have a very funny looking graph. Okay, the next part of the question, it says, what does producing at point A and F mean for society? So if you're producing at point A, it means you're only producing beans. Okay, you're only producing one good for the society. Okay. If you're producing at point F, it means you're only producing maize. That's what basically they mean. Okay. Point A, you're only producing beans, no maize. Point B, you're only producing maize and no beans. That's how you answer that one. Any questions? Okay. Part D. Can society produce 25 units of maize and 30 units of beans? So 25 units of maize and 30 units of beans, they'll be at this point here. Okay, you just, your 30, bring it here, and the 25 units, bring it here. Can society produce this? No, because this yellow line, this orange line is your frontier, it's your limit. Beyond it, you cannot produce due to scarcity, limited resources. So you cannot produce, so they cannot produce 30 beans and 25 maize because of limited resources. Okay. So this point is unattainable at the moment. Okay. Yes. Then remember, colleagues, any point along this orange line, what does the points along the orange line mean? Yes. Yes, thank you. That's correct. Any points, point A, B, C, D, E, F, we are being efficient. Okay. What if we had a point here, point I? What will it represent? Thank you very much, sir. Yes, correct. Now, let me just add on some extra information so that should they bring any type of question dealing with this PPF curve, you understand. Sometimes they can ask you to calculate the opportunity costs. Okay? They can ask you to calculate the opportunity cost. All right. Like, for example, if we move from point A to point B, basically, we were producing 30 units of beans. Now we've reduced production to 28 units of beans, and now we're producing 5 units of maize. Okay. Point A, 30 beans, 0 maize. Point B, 28 beans, 5 maize. So that asks, what is the opportunity cost here from moving from point A to point B? The opportunity cost, as I said, what you give up when you make a choice. So here, when we move from point A to point B, what are we giving up and what are we gaining? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here on what we give up, what is given up is the opportunity cost. Okay, what is given up? Okay, so here we've given up two beans, 2 units of beans to gain. What are we gaining? How many units of maize have we gained? Here, give up, then gain. Look at the black arrow. 5 units, yes. We gain 5 maize. Okay. That's the opportunity cost. That's the overall opportunity cost. Okay. But if they say, what is the opportunity cost per unit? Okay. Basically, to get 1 unit of maize, how many beans do we have to give up? Okay. Here, this one, the 2 beans for 5 maize, that's the overall opportunity cost. Okay. It's the opportunity cost of producing maize. Okay. When you're looking at the opportunity cost, focus on what you are producing. So in this case here, focus on what you are gaining. So we're gaining maize. Okay. And then what we're giving up is beans. Okay. So the opportunity cost, the overall opportunity cost for the maize is 5 units. I mean, is 2 beans. Okay. To get 5 maize, you have to give up 2 beans, which is your opportunity cost. Now, when they ask you the opportunity cost per unit, they're asking you to gain 1 maize. How many beans do you need to give up? Colleagues, this is just a matter of cross multiplication. Let's tabulate. Let's find the x here. 1 times 2, 2. 5 times x, 5x. To get the value of x, divide by 5 divided by 5. 2 divided by 5 is 0.4 beans. Okay, 0.4 beans. One way you can think about it to get your opportunity cost per unit, just remember it is give up divided by gain. Okay, give up divided by gain. Okay, so here we're giving up giving up 2 beans. So we're giving up 2 beans to gain 5 maize. So 2 divided by 5, 0.4. So as I said, when you look at the opportunity cost per unit, you're focusing on what you're gaining. So to gain 1 maize, you're giving up 0.4 beans. Any questions? Or where you're saying where you explain more. You see, instead of just saying that uh, there's really not much you can say afterwards. After you've just mentioned that since it's beyond the frontier, so it's unattainable due to limited resources. There's maybe you can say when you say limited resources, say with probably land and the labor of the capital is limited, therefore, but there's really not much you can add on top of that. Okay. So, colleagues, if they ask you to get opportunity cost per unit, okay, first get the overall opportunity cost. Okay, focus on what you're gaining so that you know what is being given up, and then you know what the opportunity cost for. So, just one more illustration. If we move from point B to C, what's our overall opportunity cost? And then what's our opportunity cost per unit? Can we try to tabulate that? From B to C. Okay, on your piece of paper, just put here, give up divided by gain. Okay. You don't need to put the ratio like this. Okay. Once you've grasped the concept, you don't need. But if you're still grasping it, you can put it like this. On the left hand side, put give up. On the right hand side, put gain. Okay. So first, what's the overall opportunity? Before we go to the per unit, what's the overall opportunity cost? No, we're gaining another 5 units of maize, but the opportunity cost, what are we losing? Huh? 3 units, yes. We're giving up 3 beans. Okay. We're giving up giving up three. Yes, yes, yes. We're giving up 3 units to gain five. No, no, five. Mhm. Because you're counting from this point to this point, this point to this point. So 3 divided by 5, 0.6. 0.6 beans. Okay. So at this point, to gain one maize, you have to now give up zero point 0.6 beans. Initially at point A, we had to give up zero point 0.4 beans. Now from B to C, it's increased to zero point 0.6 beans. Okay. So as I said, this bow-shaped curve is illustrating increasing opportunity cost. Okay, because as you can see, first you give up 2 beans. Then you've given up 3 beans overall. The next 25 minus 21, you give up 6 beans. Then 21 minus 15, what's 21 minus 15? Oh, 25 minus 21, it's 4. Yes, 4. 4. Then here it's 6, huh? Mhm. So as you can see, the more maize we need to get, the more beans we have to be giving up. That's what's explained by this bow-shaped curve. Okay, increasing opportunity cost. Okay, and you're going to hear of the law of increasing opportunity cost. The law of increasing opportunity cost: to get more of one good, you have to give up more units of the other. To get more of one good, you have to give up more units of the other. Okay.